Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be your host this morning yet again. I'm going to wait for the thumbs up from Brian that you guys can hear me. And he says yes. Awesome. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Art Janowick III. I'm on the left-hand side of your screen. For those of you that have attended some trainings, you're probably sick of my voice already. But Brian Fleischman is on the right-hand side of your screen. He's going to make sure that you guys have everything you need in the chat room, making sure you guys get connected, obviously doing the best he can, being physically away from you guys. But one thing I do tell people is make yourselves comfortable. I'm thinking, at most an hour, but I'll probably try and keep this around 45 minutes depending on your guys' questions. But this is going to be a training reviewing Mecca, reviewing how the program works, how it can help you write IEPs for those of you in the special education world, how it can help you in vocational rehab for those of you in the workforce development, voc rehab world. So it's going to be kind of an all-encompassing training to kind of go in depth with the programs and kind of show you the nuts and bolts and some added features that we've had too. So we are going to get started. We're going to wrap it up with some Q&A. If Brian doesn't answer your questions as you type them during the presentation, then he's saving those for the end. So he's going to hit me with those at the end. But we're going to wait for some stragglers because even as I was talking, we've had 7 more people. So I want to make sure that we get you guys comfortable, get everybody in there so I don't have to review anything again or answer questions I've already answered. But for those of you that are here already, make yourselves comfortable. We're going to have a packed house. Grab some notes, and I will be with you in about 30 to 60 seconds. All right. Thanks, guys. So where are you guys coming from this morning? If it's out west, it's 8:30 a.m. If it's out east, some people we have, Brian, I think Hawaii, we have some customers too, right? So that's like, what, 6:30 a.m. by them? But 11:30 out east. So type in where you're coming from. I love hearing where our customers, and Saipan, yeah, Brian just said and Saipan, yeah, which is, I don't even know what their timeframes are there. It's got to be like, what, 3 a.m.? But go ahead and type where you're coming from because meanwhile, you guys can kind of build this community as well because I love hearing and seeing all over the country, where you guys are coming from. Even we have some people from our northern neighbors in Canada as well, Puerto Rico, with blessings with them, obviously, with what's going on with the weather. So yeah, love to see where you guys are all coming from. So awesome. Eileen, you and I were talking this week, so welcome from Truckee, Reno area, California, San Jose, Louisiana, Massachusetts, New York. We got Virginia in the house, South Carolina, Michigan. Very cool. North Carolina, a lot of folks in North Carolina, I know. Tejas, awesome. Tennessee. We got 3 folks from Tennessee, Tullahoma, which I know I was working with Christy this week, so that's great. Good. We'll keep them coming too. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen and also look around. Think to yourselves as well. There's other people using our program. New Jersey in the house, welcome. So keep that in mind as you guys are using this. That know use best resources, practices as well. You'd think I'd close some windows as I'm presenting here, but best practices as well that you guys can learn from each other, and based off of your questions, based off of where you guys are, coming from as far as relationships with students. So, hey, I work with 18 plus kids, or I work with freshman CTE students, in the intro period. So it's kind of cool to see what you guys are doing. So, all right. So I shared my screen. Brian gave me the thumbs up. I'm going to get right into it now because we are 5 minutes past. So what I like to say now is for those people that were coming a little bit late, a little bit too bad, we're just going to try and play catch up with you guys. So the first thing I'm going to jump into is the actual brochure. I know it's basic, but the reason I jump into the Mecca brochure is because it does a really good job of explaining the programs from a high-level eagle-eye view. A lot of times what happens is people get wrapped up in the programs themselves and say, this is really overwhelming, or Conover Online is generally very overwhelming. And it can be, right? As I like to put it, we've been in business for almost 40 years. So imagine living in a house, right? My parents living in a house for 40 years, 40 plus years, the basement, the attic, the walls, everything starts to get cluttered because you just collect stuff or you have stuff from your parents or anything like that. Very similar to us in the sense that we constantly want to reinvent ourselves and get new programs that benefit students, benefit users, benefit the participants of your program. And so it's nice to take a step back, take a deep breath, and start from the beginning sometimes to get the high level overview. Okay, and so that's what I'm going to do here. So the first thing that you're going to do in Mecca, or your users, is the interest indicator. Okay, the interest indicator is designed to, you guessed it, assess interests. But the thing is, it's based on personal likes and dislikes of everyday activities. So even students, even users with limited or no experience in the real world, they can really answer questions like, do you like to paint a room or a house? Do you like working with people? Numbers, right? They can say yes a lot, no a little, or not at all. And then based off of those interests, we're going to recommend, based on the 16 career clusters, we're going to recommend possible career tracks, career paths. Okay. So then what's next? We recommend some career areas. That's great. Now what's next? Well, what's next are what we call the work samples. Now, I know you guys, most of you, in fact, probably don't have these. But the reason I go over them is twofold. One is because you are going to need these in the future, or should I say, we want you to need these in the future, right? And let me get into that in a second. But two is because this completes the puzzle. And here's what I mean by that. I always say that you do not need these for Mecca to be successful. And I will say that till the end. However, the reason I say you want these or you're going to need these is because this is a great way for students and users to try out a job in a non-threatening atmosphere, to get their hands dirty and explore before we do any community-based placements, before we put them out in the community for internships or these job placements, right? Because if we think, again, taking a step back, if we look at what expense that is, it really is expensive, especially if you're looking at from the school perspective. You know, if you have an 18 plus program for life skills and you do community-based stuff, if you're in a workability or TPP program in California, if you're in, Voc Rehab, it's expensive to have transportation to transport folks to the job site. It's expensive to do training for that job specific to, mom and pop hardware or McDonald's or whatever. It's really expensive. So using these work samples, our program's designed to have video modeling. And again, I'll show you all this stuff, but it's designed to have video modeling to walk the users through step by step working in these work samples. So there's a video that will walk them through measuring, marking, cutting a piece of wood to create a butt joint or a miter joint, removing an old lock assembly, applying and removing facial cleanser on a mannequin, right? Cleaning floors for mud and gum, and dust mop oil, applying that to the mop. Distribution, like gathering and weighing packages. So the electronics one is really cool. You have a soldering station and you actually solder circuits, electrical components and stuff to a circuit board. So it's really cool that they can actually get their hands dirty, do some exploration, right? Figure out, do I like this? Because that's number one, right? Do they like it? And then number two, more subjectively, but are they good at it? What kind of dexterity do they have? Do we have this job in the community for them to try out? Because once you get past this, you'll be able to say, hey, okay, now let's do some job placements. Now, when I put them at the grocery store or a food service place or whatever in the service industry, I can say, yep, he's got experience doing it. He's good at this. He's not so good at this, based off of using these work samples. All right. There's 21 work samples in all. And again, I'll get into these a little bit later. But 21 different work samples in all, ranging from price. Some of them range from a few hundred. And then some of them, like digital video and telecommunications, those are like $2,500, right? And so you can get all of them. You can get none of them. You can get some of them. All right. But the work samples are an integral piece that in the future you would want to plan on getting. Now, if you don't have the work samples, or you might get them in the future, or you have them, great, great. But what's next are what we call the Learning Assessment Programs, LAPs. LAPs. Every career, and we have 57 different careers, every career has the LAP. And what the Learning Assessment Programs are designed to do, they're designed to assess job-specific competencies, right? Because every job that is out there, every career that's out there, has competencies that you need to be successful within that job, right? Like a chef, you need to have liquid and dry measurement. You need to know what that is. Because if you're putting together a loaf of bread, you need to know, well, like you need 2 cups flour, 1 egg, a teaspoon of salt, baking powder, baking soda, all this stuff. You need to know those measurements. As an auto mechanic, you need to know metric versus standard measurements, like resetting the gap on a spark plug, or certain lengths for putting the recoil in for a pull engine, because the coil broke. So you need to know certain math, reading, science, all these things. That's what the LAPs do, is they assess job-specific competencies that your users need to know related to each job specifically. So these are my favorite pieces of Mecca, by the way. And I hope you can tell, right, by my excitement. But the reason is because for me personally, when I went to school, I wasn't too good. I didn't do too well. And the reason is because I didn't really care. I was like, why am I in math? I was pretty decent at math, but I didn't really I was like, why am I taking, algebra, geometry, statistics, all this stuff? There was no connection to outside of school because it was just another math test, or it's just reading To Kill a Mockingbird in English, right? But if I were to able to say, hey, I'm going to do, well, what I do now, right? But I love woodworking. So if I were to connect math and reading and science to woodworking, I would have probably been really, really successful. So what we want to be able to do is connect academics to the workplace, to not only have age-appropriate, efficient assessments to tie into post-secondary goals and objectives, but we're going to create interest. Students are going to be like, yeah, I'm interested in food service, or I'm interested in welding, or I'm interested in cosmetology. So yeah, I'll take this test because it's pretty cool. And then what we did is we tied all of our assessments into the Common Core standards. So now as you're writing for the IEP, post-secondary goals or objectives, or if you're under WIOA for in-school youth, ages 14 to 21 for voc rehab, you want to tie this into that transition plan or pre-employment transition services, for counseling on opportunities for enrollment in post-secondary education. You can do that. Because then what you can see is you can say, hey, we assessed Susie in food service. She lacks, based off this assessment, the competencies of measurements, liquid and dry measurements. So here is the Common Core content standard for that competency. So what courses or training does she need to go in to be proficient in that competency to reach her post-secondary goal or objective? So you can see why this is probably my most favorite program in Mecca, because the power is there. The program is there to help you reach the goals and objectives for the users and participants and students of your program. So pretty cool. And again, I'll get into more of this. This is kind of high level, right? So I know I just probably spewed a whole bunch of stuff that's difficult to understand, or maybe I lost you, but bear with me because I will go into detail with the programs too. All right. And then finally in Mecca, we have what we call the career planner. And the career planner is designed to provide occupational info with pictures and videos, text. But we're going to go over things like the job requirements, working conditions, ways to get that job. Do you need any licensing or certification, physical demands, related interests, related jobs, in that career path. So it's really cool because they go through that. And then we have at the end we call it a reality check, if you will. But it's designed to have a questionnaire and ask things like, did you like this job? What kind of skills do you need for this job? Do you have these skills? If not, where can you get these skills? So it just brings about this conversation and helps facilitate that conversation with each one of your users. And all the meanwhile, everything is tracked and scored and saved. All right. And that's where the management system, that's where you're sitting here for this training today to look at. But that's how we do it, is we deliver that program through Conover Online. So you guys have the ability to use that program. Okay. Or should I say your students have the ability to use that program, and then you guys can pull up the data you need when you need it. Okay. So I'm going to jump into the actual program. I'm going to log in as an admin. Now, some of you here today, most probably are system admins, and that's okay. Your login screen is going to look a little bit different, not much different. The only real difference is over on the left-hand side, you can buy more credits and things. But we'll get into that later. And then you can also create admin accounts versus just creating users. But again, similar, identical process, except for you have some added abilities. So a couple quick overview snapshots for those of you that are new or haven't attended a training before. Usually what I do is I go over the program in detail. I don't really go over much of should I say the stuff you should know, right? But I will today because we got a packed house with folks. So I'll quickly review some of the other things and maybe some new things for you guys as well. But up at the top is our navigation bar. And as you click over here, the sub navigation bar on the left-hand side is going to change. Okay, so as I click admin home, or as I click create accounts, what's going to happen is this navigation bar over here changes. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. The admin home is where you're going to see a quick snapshot of activities occurring in the system. Okay, this is just quick. You can see either what your users did by assignment. So it'll say, hey, Nick completed job readiness. Mitchell completed the personal skills map. Started attitude. So you can see the activities, and then you can also see how credits were spent. Okay, so you can see that Chris, an admin, spent 5 credits on Nick, or spent 5 credits on Katie. Okay, so that's where what your dashboard is. Credits, for those of you that are new, credits are in the system down here on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. And as I draw all over it, you can't see anything I'm doing, so let me do that again. Take my time this time, right? But credits, I have 4,437 of them. You guys obviously have your amount that you have purchased or that you have inside the system. But they never expire. We wanted to break the mold and give you guys the power. Instead of us saying, hey, guess what? You pay us a yearly fee to access this. And all of a sudden things happen, life happens, budgets happen. And so next year you can't afford, or you didn't use the program and you got to renew it. And you're sitting here saying, great, we just wasted all this money. And how many of you have been in that situation, right? I know I have, with certain accounts that I have personally, right? And so what we did is we broke the mold. So you buy credits from us. They're $5 a piece. And then they go into your account until you use them. You use them to make assignments for each one of the users that you create. Okay? It does not cost any credits. And there is no limit to the amount of users that you create in the system. Okay. Now I'm going to create a student here. I'm doing this for Brian because for those of you, I didn't see anyone from Minnesota, but this guy's a Minnesota Vikings player for football. And Brian's a diehard Packers fan. I like to rouse them a little bit here. But what happens is, again, there's no cost to the amount of users inside to create them, okay? You can have thousands, literally millions of users. Now, what's nice about this is we switched some things up over the past few months even, I think, but I'll go over this with you guys. Instead of creating a user one-off like I just did, you also have the ability to batch import. This is a really, really cool feature because we had a lot of people say, Art, I have 50 kids. Art, I have 100 people. You know, Art, I have 200 clients, 200 employees. I don't want to do this 200 times. So what you do is you click this button. This is going to take you to a feature where you can actually batch a CSV file in the program. So now instead of doing one-off, you can actually, and this is a tutorial to walk you through it, but you can actually download a sample, which I'll show you what this looks like, of what it looks like. You put a first name, last name, email, password in an Excel document. Okay. And then you import that, save it as a CSV. It's called comma separated value. And again, if you need help right here, watch the tutorial. This will help you, walk you through this. But what you do is you import that file, and then it's going to walk you through a wizard to put those users inside your system batch. Really, really slick. So now instead of doing it 200 times, you just do it once with 200 people. Okay. So that's a new feature. Now, to actually assign something to your students, Mecca. Let's search that student that I created. We'll click Stefan Diggs. Over on the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see Manage Assignments Expanded. This is where you assign the various programs to your users. So, for example, we have all these different programs, which we have trainings on all these, every month we do a training. Last month, I think, was workplace readiness, Brian, I think. But today we're going to go over Mecca. But you have access to every single program in our system. Now, you can use your credits on any program inside of our system. For the purpose of today, I'm going to click on Mecca. With a little bit of a caveat. Some people only buy credits. Like, for example, we've had certain people buy credits and say, I'm buying these credits to use only your workplace readiness program. So that's what the person that purchased, right? That's what you want to use your credits on. Don't go using Mecca or Winning Colors for communication, or bullying prevention, and then say, well, Art said that I could use these credits on this, because I'm not taking that heat, just to let you know, right? I don't want to talk to your boss or your colleague saying you use credits on something you're not supposed to. So that's the one asterisk, if you will. But you have the ability to assign any program inside of our system to your users using your credits, okay? So for Mecca, you have two options with Mecca. You have the complete Mecca bundle for 10 credits, or you can assign manually. And I'll start here first. When you assign manually, you're telling the system that you want control of what your users do. So for example, you might want to just assign the interest indicator, which looks like this. The interest indicator, as I mentioned, is designed to assess likes and dislikes of everyday activities. So I like to take care of trees and plants. I like to paint a room or a house, or think of new ways to do or say something. And we're tracking and scoring and saving all of their results. They can do it in multiple sittings. So if they want to answer 5 questions and stop, the next time they log in, they'll be on question 5 till they finish. We're going to go through and track and save all this. It works on any device, iPads, Chromebooks, Macs, PCs, literally anything with internet. It'll work. No plugins required. And it's got full audio. Now I'm speaking through my computer, so I have my headset in, so the audio is coming through my headset, but not through the computer for you guys. But it's got full audio to read everything aloud for your non-readers or low readers. And meanwhile, we're going to say, hey, Stefan, based off of your interest levels, we recommend these career areas. We're beginning to build post-secondary goals and objectives. We're beginning to build any training that they'll need once they leave us. Because if you recall, after we recommend the career areas, we're going to say, great, based off of these careers, let's jump into them. Let's go through the work sample for automotive technology, for example. So you have the black box, right? You have that chest, the treasure chest, some people call them, right? But they look like these. And in our software, we have videos that walk them through saying, hey, take this stuff out. This is the stuff that you'll need for this activity. The brake cylinder, the hand drill, hone, safety glasses, brake fluid, etc. And then what happens is, after they take out all the stuff that they need for that work sample, it's going to say, call the program administrator. That's you guys. You guys in attendance, you guys watching this right now, you're the program administrator. And so when they hit next, they call the program administrator over, and there's checkpoints to make sure that they're doing and getting everything that they're supposed to do. And as you check these boxes, this is saved, which I show you at the end, a report, but it saves everything that the user is doing and that you're checking. Okay? But we're going to walk them through step by step, using the work samples. And I know the video, Brian, and you can probably say this in the chat too, the video might come through choppy. That's because, again, I'm streaming video through the webinar, and it might look choppy on your end, but the real video that we use, obviously, and that your users will see is going to be clean and ready to go. Okay. So every work sample is designed that way, depending on the activities, right? So whether it's construction tech or custodial housekeeping or HVAC or horticulture, you get the idea. The videos are going to be specific to the kit themselves. Okay. So those are the kits. Those are the work samples. If you recall, every career also has, now again, side note, office tech, sales, small engines. You see that little icon? That's what that icon means. The ones with that icon, that's going to have a work sample. The ones without, like home health aid, right? Firefighter, we don't have work samples for those, but then again, it doesn't have the icon. So that's what that means. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that's clear because some people have those questions. We're also going to have LAPs, right? And if you recall, that's my favorite part of the program. The LAP is designed to assess the job-specific competencies. So, for example, I'm going to do small engines. I'm interested in small engines. You know, that's kind of cool. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about and assess tools on the job, technical vocabulary, reading tables and charts. Because you want to know what that user knows, because that's going to help you, right? That's going to help you go through and teach that person what they need. Right? So every career has an LAP. Every career has an LAP. Every career also has what we call, you guys can probably fill in the blanks already, I'm getting old, right? Career planners. And the career planners are the occupational info. So we're going to go through what you do, the physical demands, the working conditions, the skills needed. Right? We're going to go through that information. And at the end, we have a questionnaire. It asks things like, did you like this job? What kind of skills, right? I went over that already, but it asks those things. Because what's happening is your users are going through all this information. They're being assessed. They're exploring. We're identifying interests. We're asking them questions. For what? Well, data. That's why. Because you guys, not only do you have a passion for helping individuals with their That's why you're in the job. That's why you're sitting here right now. That's why you're using Conover Online, because you have that same passion to help people be successful once they leave you. Well, good. Now you have all the data. So I can go in here and say, hey, I got to look up Alshon. We got a meeting with mom and dad. Good. He did this July 28th, 2015. Let's look at those results. I'm going to download and print those up here. And again, pardon my chicken scratch, right? I'm a poor circle drawer. I don't have that competency. But now we're going to have this data. Date started, date completed, time on task, areas of interest ranked from highest to lowest, and then some recommended career areas. We're also going to have the LAP data, because I want to help Maria get that food service job. She loves it. She loves working in that atmosphere. And good. Let's look up those details. Again, I can download or print right up here. I'm all over the place with my circles, but download and print up there. And then you get the overall summary: date started, date completed, score, time on task, right? Important information. Well, then we break it down step by step by competency and program name, what she worked on, what she scored well on, what she didn't score too well on. I had someone ask me one time, like, Art, okay, I get this. Competency sequencing, 57%. What about this stuff over here? What does this mean? The numbers in red are the incorrect question numbers. The ones in gray are the correct question numbers. So then they ask me, well, is there a way to look at those questions? Because I want to help. Like, obviously I'm looking at this, and Maria needs help with sequencing to reach her post-secondary goal or post-secondary training or training in general on food service. So what do I do then to help her? Because I want to see like the questions, like how what they look like, how she got them wrong. Well, what you do is you go into the system, you go underneath the admin home tab under supplemental materials, and you click MECA. And that's going to pull up all of the MECA supplemental materials in a PDF format. So then you go to the LAP in question. So in this case, food service. It's going to give you in not a great format, because you're not supposed to use paper and pencil because it's brutal, to be honest, right? But now you can see questions 33 through 38, what she got wrong, and help her learn that. Pretty powerful stuff, right? It's really cool to see this stuff in action, because now you're able to look at these reports and say, good, now what, right? And then at the very bottom of these reports is where we tied, if you recall, every single assessment to the Common Core content standards. So if she lacked sequencing, so we'll find that one. The competency here is sequencing. We have grade 6, grade 7, grade 11 through 12, content standards for sequencing. So now you guys can say, what courses do we offer if I'm a school district? What courses does the community college offer? What type of training do we offer if you're a service provider for workforce development to teach Maria the competency of sequencing to reach her post-secondary goal of food service, right? And I'm hoping that, as I spoke very fast in the beginning, I'm hoping that I slowed down enough for you guys to really kind of follow the report, to follow the process of how to use our assessments, the LAPs, to actually teach the skill that they need. Because if you do it right, we've gone 90%, you just have to go the other 10. We also have the reports on the career planner, right? All that data is underneath MECA here. So we go to the career planners. Let me pick someone that's got some data, Maria. So there's the questionnaire, and then there are the answers for what the student says, what the user says, and then what others say. So like you guys or mom and dad or a teacher. So all that data, again, right there. Now, going back to the assignments. Going back to the assignments now. That's what assign manually is, right? You can click the interest test and then, click some careers, and then it'll tell you at the bottom, total expense 4 credits. So what I would do is I would assign this. It's going to deduct 4 credits out of my account. So now I'll have 4,433, right? 37 minus 4 is 33. And now Stefan logs in. He's going to go through the Mecca programs that I just assigned him to work on. Now, you might say, man, Art, you just messed up. Or I need to get those credits back because Stefan, I'm no longer providing services, or he left the school district or whatever, right? Well, all you do is you go back to Mecca. At the very bottom, you're going to see a red unassign. You click that. And then you select the programs that you want to unassign. And then your total income will be listed there. And you'll get those credits right back into your program. Okay? Now, right, so now you're not wasting anything. Now, the other option is up here, the complete Mecca bundle. The complete Mecca bundle. It is 10 credits, and it is everything under assigned manually. So it's literally automated. They take the interest test, and then automatically, based off that interest test, we're going to go through the career areas. Right? It's going to assign the career areas, then they go through career. It's automated. It's just a streamlined process. They log in, they go. 10 credits. Simple. Automated. Now you have the option both under the assign manually and the Mecca bundle for Mecca or TPS. Mecca or TPS. People miss this. Mecca or TPS. It's defaulted to Mecca. What that is there's a difference, and you can read it right in here. But basically, the TPS is a transition planning system. That's what it stands for. And it's for users with cognitive disabilities, students with autism, adult learners with more moderate to severe disabilities, because it's an abbreviated version of Mecca. So Mecca is 64 questions in the interest test. And then from there, we recommend the 57 different career areas. Okay, so 64 questions, and then it assigns 57 different career areas potentially. That's what Mecca is. What TPS is a 28 question interest test. So it's abbreviated, right? We've abbreviated the interest test. It's 28 questions. And then we're going to assign a possible 12 career areas. We've eliminated all of the career areas like accountant, doctor, biotechnology, a lot of the ones in health and science, police officer. But then we've kept in things like cosmetology, food service, HVAC, what else? Automotive, custodial housekeeping, all the career areas for the 12 career areas there. So that's the difference, okay? If you're wondering which one to do, I would do Mecca personally, because then from there you can actually eliminate careers manually. If you know it's a user with a more cognitive disability and you say, hey, I'm going to just assign him or her TPS, perfect. You could do that. The interest indicator is always 1 credit, regardless of the one you choose. And the bundle is actually half if you do TPS, because you're not getting as much, right? So instead of 10 credits, it's only going to be 5. It's only going to be 5. All right, time for a little mic check. Brian, if you can just let me know, because I'm obviously sharing my screen, let me know, is everything going smooth? You guys can see and hear me. Just give me the thumbs up still. But okay, so that's how Mecca works. That's how everything goes. Now, what's nice about this is every single, even the programs I'm not going to review today, so workplace readiness, personal responsibility, every program has these little blue magnifying glasses that you're looking at. Okay? Those magnifying glasses are previews. And they're designed for you guys sitting here today to look at the program before you make an assignment. Because you might be coming in here, you're doing this training, it's great, but then you have maybe colleagues or maybe you're a new person and you're like, man, this is a lot of stuff and Art's, kind of going fast. You can preview literally everything in here before you assign it. I've had people say, Art, I previewed the work samples because I was looking at computer apps and computer graphics and cosmetology, and it's really cool because I looked at what they were doing and then I was like, man, I'm going to buy those because they're really cool. Perfect. Click that. Look at the preview. Okay. And we're going to go through that information. Now, a new feature that we've released, and I don't know if you guys even were aware of this, so I'm going to jump in this. I've had some people tell me, and maybe this is you as well, that you're like, Art, this is awesome. I can differentiate. I can assign Susie this, Johnny this. But we also have some people that say, Art, listen, I want people to do the Mecca program all in. Like if you're a school district and you're under IDEA and you're trying to do transition plans and you're like, I want them to do the interest. I want them to do the whole Mecca bundle for like my 30 kids. Or in your voc rehab and you provide services and it's a straight, career, job exploration, work-based learning experience, all that stuff, counseling. And you're like, I want them to do Mecca. I have 200 people that I want to do Mecca. Do I have to assign that 200 times, right? 200 individually? No. A new feature that we released is called Mass Assign. Okay? Really cool. What this is you pick your people. So you might say, hey, I want, I got 25 selected on this page, but I want to select all 252 in my system. You might also say, Brian, I just saw your note. I got you. I might also say, hey, I want to assign these 3 people. So you pick your people. You pick who you want in the system. You can filter it by tag. You can filter it by group, etc. But then what you do is you select Mass Assign. It's you then select the product. So you say Mecca. And then you select Show Product. And you say, I want to assign the complete Mecca bundle for these 3 people or whatever. And then it's going to give you your total expense. Now, I know for some of you, it's going to say, Art, you just did 10 credits times 3 people. It should say 30 credits. Well, the reason is what's happening is some of these users have been doing things already in the system. So I know this was a bad example, but this is a good learning experience for you guys because you might run into this. But what it's saying to you is, hey, you're only going to really assign one person the bundle because the other 2 are already doing stuff in Mecca. So that's what that means. Okay, just to let you know. But what happens then is you hit assign, and then it's going to mass assign those people. Okay? And you could do, again, with any program. So if you say, hey, I want to do, the personal responsibility program. I want them to do the assessment and then 3 skill enhancements each. So that's 1 plus 3 is 4 times 3 people is 12 credits. I picked that one because I knew no one's doing anything in personal responsibility, so I cheated. But now I can mass assign that. So no more one-offs. If you know, like, hey, I'm starting fresh. I got 35 people in here that I all want them to do the Mecca bundle. It's going to cost me 350 credits, right? Because 10 times 35, then you could do mass assign it. And when they log in, they're going to go in the system and go through the Mecca bundle, the interest test, careers, all that stuff. Okay? That's how mass assign works. There's also the ability to run reports. You might select all 25 and say, hey, I want to go to the report generator. I want to run last year these 25 people that did Mecca. So I'll go Mecca. I want all of the interest test reports, all of the work sample reports, all of the LAP reports, and then go to the bottom and hit generate report. What happens is it's going to send a link to you. It runs in the background. One of the most common questions we get is, hey, it's not giving me my report. We're generating the report in the background. A link with a file will be sent to you. But if you read this, and most people don't, and I'm not knocking you because sometimes I don't read, but it may take longer depending on the data you're right? If you're querying 3 people, it'll take 5 minutes and we'll get it to you. Boom, it's done. If you're querying 1,000 people, 4,000 people, some of our large districts like Socorro, Miami-Dade, Milwaukee, they've got a lot of students. So it's going to take a while to generate the report. So you might have to wait a little bit. And then you also got to check spam because that happens a lot too. Okay. As you can tell, I like writing, right? To kind of keep you guys engaged of wondering what I'm going to draw next. Maybe a nice, beautiful sunset picture or something. So, but that's what happens. That's how that works. So you can run the report generator again, or if you know specifically you're in a school district and you have an IEP meeting, I would recommend not the report generator, just go to the report and say, hey, we got an IEP meeting with, Angela. Well, then just search Angela out and look up her interest test. Faster. It's right there. It's a one-off. And then you can print or download that and then print all this stuff off for Angela because you know that, or you have a one-on-one meeting with Angela. Well, perfect. I would just do that. Only do the report generator if you got to, do like an audit, like a district-wide audit or something, and you got to run the reports that way. Okay. Awesome. All right. So that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into questions now because Brian actually said, and I know that's critical for number one, building this community with you guys, but also to get your questions answered because a lot of you have overlap with questions. So I'm going to jump into that and kind of go from there. So I have a question here. Will the career areas of interest automatically be assigned or do we need to assign them to the students? The career areas will only be assigned if you choose the bundle automatically. So like if I go to Stefan, if I go back here, I go to Mecca, the only way that Stefan will get the career areas automatically assigned is if I do the bundle because it's taken 10 credits and you're paying basically for us to automate it and our system to automate it. And it's done for you. If you do assign manually and you pick just the interest test for 1 credit and you go down here and assign it, then no, it will not automatically assign the careers. It's still going to recommend careers. It'll say, hey, we recommend, these 6 careers for Stefan. But then you would have to go in and say, okay, I got to click this, click this, click this. And then down here, assign it again. So it's a little bit more work, not too much, but a little bit more work when you got a lot of students, which is why we recommend the bundle because it's automated. Okay. All right. Next question. And Brian's probably typing away, so he's busy. Can you use TPS not as a bundle? Yes. What you would do is you would go to the interest indicator. You would assign the interest indicator like this under assign manually. And then under Mecca, you would just switch. It's defaulted to Mecca. So then you just switch it to TPS. You click it, and then you go down to assign, and it's going to assign TPS for 1 credit. Okay, so that's that. How many credits is TPS? TPS is 5 credits for the bundle, so half of MECA. So it's 5 credits, and then the TPS interest indicator is 1 credit. 1 credit. Yep. Same as the MECA interest indicator is 1 credit as well. So if you choose TPS, can you pick the LAPs you want assigned? Yes. What I would do in that situation is you would say assign interest indicator for 1 credit, TPS. Go down here to assign. Have the student log in then and take that, right? And then you get the results. And then you'd manually go back in here and say, hey, based off that, I want you to do this one and, this one. And then go back down here and then assign those career areas. You can't just, so to clarify, when you say, can you pick the LAPs you want assigned, you cannot just pick LAPs. Like in construction tech, there's the work sample, the LAPs, and the career planner. You can't just pick the LAPs of construction tech. You have to pick the whole career area. And to be honest, because we didn't want to nickel and dime you. Some people ask like, so the LAP for construction tech is 1 credit? And no. The career area of construction tech is 1 credit. And then you get the LAP, the work samples, and the career planners. Okay? Because whatever you assign to your user, as they log in, I'll assign this. And as Stefan logs in, he's only going to do what I assign him to work on. Right? He's only going to do what I assign him to work on. So it's really neat because you have this flexibility. When you pick small parts, go through the LAP for small parts, that data is being saved in there. Great question. Any other questions? Would I have to purchase all the work samples at one time? No. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, and maybe you were a late comer, and that's okay. You can purchase just a few. Again, we have certain organizations, certain schools that are like, Art, we have a huge manufacturing, industry where we're at. And so I want to buy these 2 work samples, manufacturing, fab and assembly, and manufacturing small parts. And that's the only 2 they bought. Perfect. Just buy those 2. So no, you can buy all of them and you get credits included. You get 50 credits per work sample included with the full system. So what's really slick is it's what, 1,050, right? A little over 1,000 credits, which is $5,000. You get automatically included with a full system. And then if you buy just 1 or 2 or 6 or 10, then you actually get 25 credits per work sample. So great question. All right, another question says, do the credits correlate to $1 a piece? No, the credits are $5 a piece. Credits are $5 a piece. And then each program, if you will, is 1 credit. So basically $5 per program. So like the interest test is 1 credit. Manufacturing with all these components inside is 1 credit. So it's $5 per credit. Another questions is, should the interest inventory be completed each year for the same students? Good question. I've had people do it. Especially for adequate yearly progress and trying to identify, those goals and objectives in the IEP. And again, I'm talking just about the school setting here, for more legality purposes. So yes. Now, should they? I don't know. If you have a plan in place already for, a sophomore in high school and you're following that plan, not only through the LAPs and through the different career areas, but also some of the stuff you're doing outside of our program, then I don't think it necessarily needs to be done because, you're working the plan already to reach those post-secondary goals. But early on, yes, you know, I've how many times, even now, today, right? I switch up a little bit and say, wow, I didn't know I was interested in that, or I didn't know that that was even a thing. You know, or reading something on the internet and all of a sudden it rehashes an interest that I had, but I just, you know, dropped it because of life and my two little girls, right? So all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I got to do this again, or I'm, you know, so you can reassign the interest test, you know, just assign it again, have them go through it again. But I think it would be more of a use case, you know, depending on the user, depending on the student, et cetera. So. Cool. Well, I'm gonna get you guys out 4 minutes early too. So last call for wrap up for questions, if you guys have any. If you guys are interested in the work samples, reply to the reminder emails, because that's a great way to help your kids out explore those jobs. If you need credits coming up here, absolutely reach out to us as well. Brian or myself can write up a custom quote for you. Because again, they don't expire. So we have a lot of districts that are coming up on certain grant funding that they're like, hey, I want to buy more credits, even though I have some. And it's a great, great use of money because it's not wasteful spending. You know, it's prioritizing the spending that matters for the kids. So, so final call for questions. If you guys need anything from us, go to our website. You can go to our About page to look up some more information or contact us. One more question here I got. So for each student, is it $25 a piece for the TPS? Yes, exactly. So if you did TPS with a student, it would be 5 credits or the equivalent of $25. You are correct. For Mecca, it is $50 or 10 credits. And remember, it's for the duration. So like if I assign the bundle, whether it's TPS or Mecca, if I assign the bundle to a student or a user today, and he does the interest test today, and it's Friday, right? So we're going to party and Oktoberfest is coming up, right? So then all of a sudden here comes Monday, he logs in. It's not another credit or another bundle or anything. It's part of that bundle. So now he's going to go through the career area, go through that. So it's $25 for TPS, $50 for Mecca, for as long as it takes him to complete those units and go through that program. So great question. Great question. All right. Final thoughts as I wrap it up and get you guys on your way. And I know some of you left already, so I'm sorry you missed out on this. This little yellow button down on the right-hand side is a great resource. Our typical response time is around 5 minutes. And this sends a message to our team here that we help. For those of you that have used this, and you can even type in the chat, so I'm not just biased and making stuff up, but we respond real quickly to this. And I know a lot of you have said, like, we love you guys because it's so quick and so cool. So that's how you can do that. Or the help and support page up here, which is perfect because I just saw a question come through. How can I reassign the Mecca to students with carryover accounts? Meaning like you worked with them last year, but you want to reassign Mecca to those students. So Tia, this is how you do that. I'll show you. So you go to help and support. No problem, Tia. No problem. I just saw your comments in there as well. So what you would do is say reassign. It's a perfect teaching moment. So I appreciate the question. Reassign, and I hit search. Look, reassign an activity. How do I do this? Well, and it's really cool because we have all these screenshots in here to mimic what you're doing. So you can just literally follow along. So you go to view accounts, users, and I know this is small, so let me zoom in. But using this support and help is really, really cool because you guys can see how this works. Next, choose the student, so like Chris. And then you would click Mecca. And then you're going to see a bluish purplish box that comes up and says show items available. Now, Stefan in my demo was a new student, so we didn't have this. But for your carryover accounts, this is how you do this. You hit show items available for reassignment, and then you can pick, and Maurice, your question about the interest test, you can pick the interest test to assign to that user. So it's really easy. It's the same screen. It's just look for that purplish, bluish box, that violet box up there. Show items available for reassignment. All right. Cool. Well, my back's up against the buzzer. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being part of the Conover community. You guys are really the thing that makes this tick, so I appreciate it. Cynthia, Veronica, Richard, as I'm going through this here, Manuel, Kareen, I think it might be Karen, but if it's Kareen, then there. Leah, Veronica, Christine, Holly, Beth, I thank you guys so much for all of your time. Tia, Maurice, Catherine, Rebecca, Ramon, Jill, thank you guys so much. If you need anything from me or us, reply to the reminder emails, reply to the emails that we send out to you guys. You can call us on the telephone, right? But have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys again so much, and enjoy working with all of you.